हम 2 किलोमीटर ज्यादा भागेंगे।
कुछ करिए नस नस मेरी खोले, हाय कुछ करिए, कुछ करिए बस बस बड़ा बोले, अब कुछ करिए। ओ कोई तो चल जिद फड़िए, तू बेतरिए या मरिए, हाय कोई तो चल जिद फड़िए, तू बेतरिए या मरिए। शक दे
Whenever we talk of Tokyo Olympics, there has to be a story about Prithipal, the man who got India back on podium in hockey. We all know we lost Olympic hockey final to Pakistan in Rome in 1960. And there was a lot of hue and cry in India, okay, why India has lost to Pakistan in the final by a goal. Anyways, the team started preparing for 1964 Tokyo Olympics, and what happened in 1963 was an incident which had a bearing effect on the future of Indian hockey. Mr. Ashwini Kumar, a police officer, he was an IP officer. At that time, it was Indian Police cadre, and it was not IPS but IP. So he was an IP officer, and he was holding a very senior position in Punjab Police, and he was also heading the Indian Hockey Federation. So he always wanted the best players in Punjab Police team and wanted Punjab Police to be #1 team in the country. And it used to be, Punjab Police used to be one of the best teams in the country. But what happened was, in 1963, somehow, there was a difference of opinion between Prithipal Singh and Ashwini Kumar. Till that time, Prithipal was in Punjab Police. And since Prithipal was very strong guy, very stubborn guy, he immediately put in his papers and went underground. There was a lot of hue and cry in the country. There was a lot of newspaper stories on Prithipal, where he's gone, where he's disappeared. And even Punjab Police was trying to locate him, but they couldn't locate him. And Prithipal, in the meanwhile, their reports came, he has joined Northern Railway, because Northern Railway also had a very good hockey team. Ashwini Kumar didn't like it. His own player should join a rival team. Anyways, that year, in the Aga Khan hockey final, Punjab Police was to face Northern Railway in the final. And Prithipal was determined to teach Punjab Police a lesson. His lethal penalty corner strikes were dreaded. Even Punjab Police players knew it very well. It's very difficult to stop his penalty corners. So Ashwini Kumar flew in to Bombay to watch the final, and he had a long talk with his team and telling them that they have to win, and Prithipal must be told or given a lesson that Punjab Police is the best. Anyways, the first day, the final match ended in a draw. Those days, there were no extra times, no penalty shootouts. So the match was to be replayed the next day. And when next day the game was replayed, Northern Railway won and Punjab Police lost. Ashwini Kumar was very upset. And when the team for Tokyo Olympic game was announced, a few months after Augusta final, Prithipal's name was missing from the list. Again, there was a lot of hue and cry in the media. Why Prithipal has been left out? Is it because of politics of vendetta? Was it because of vengeance? Anyways, under media pressure, Prathipal was called back to the team. But his name was included as a halfback, though his natural position was a fullback. And Prathipal was very clear. He said, no, I will play only as a fullback. I am not a halfback and I will not play as a halfback. Anyways, it was left to the team management, which was headed at that time. The team manager was Mr. Inder Mohan Mahajan, a confidant of Mr. Ashwini Kumar. And he was also a police officer. So the team on its way to Tokyo had a training competition program in New Zealand. It was to play 3 test matches besides several local matches and prepare itself for the bigger games in Tokyo. In the first test, when Prithipal was asked to play as a halfback, he refused. And India lost the first test to New Zealand, 3-1. And it was not taken well. Hockey fans were upset. If we have lost to New Zealand before Olympics, so what chances we have in Tokyo? How we can regain the glory we have lost in Rome? So ultimately, the team management relented and in the second test included Prithipal as a fullback, and he justified his inclusion. He scored 2 goals from penalty corners and India won the second test 5-1. And in the third test, it was a very comfortable, easy victory for India, 8-2. And that was the beginning. The team regained its confidence, regained its rhythm. And when they arrived in Tokyo, it was Prithipal who was doing scoring with his stick. You see, normally a hockey player plays with 19 ounce, 20 ounce, 21 ounce, or max 23 ounce hockey stick. And Prithipal used to play with 28 ounce plus sticks. And his strikes were lethal. It needed a lot of courage because those days goalkeepers, what they wore were only leg guards and abdominal guard. No helmet and nothing. So in Tokyo Olympics, Prithipal emerged as single top scorer with 8 goals to his credit. And there he earned the title of penalty king. And it was his penalty corner shot in the final against Pakistan that got India a penalty stroke, from which Mohinder Lal scored the match winner. And that's the story of Prathipal, how he helped India regain its lost glory. And otherwise, if there was no criticism in media, he would have stayed back home and India would have played without him, and don't know what would have happened to the team without him. So this is how media supported Prithipal, and Prithipal justified media's confidence in him, and India got its honor back.